Hello, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Greenwich, Connecticut. I love how lush and green it is, and it's a beautiful, dewy evening. I love a rainy day. And I love the time before and after rain. It's just so romantic. Anyway, today I'm here to narrate my story of how my vision came together. By the way, the name of the vision is Evolve Me. And on the other side of this mug says, Sharing my journey multiplies my learning. So let's see how sharing my journey will multiply my learning. Story begins when I was born. My perspective on my childhood is like when I was born until I was like 16 years old. I feel like I was born and I was just thrown in the river for figuring out what is life. I received a lot of love and care from my late grandmother. My mother also did her best to get me the best education. Now that I reflect back, I just feel like all this time from the time I was born until I was 16, like nobody really told me like what is life and what are feelings, what are emotions, how to deal with relationships. I just don't mean like romantic relationships, but I just mean like even friendships or relationships between relatives and how we form relationships in the world and what does it mean. So I just mean in general meaning of relationships. But what I saw in the culture was when somebody doesn't like somebody, they would be like, oh, you shouldn't be friends with them. Or if you keep staying friends with them, you were being judged, oh, this person is friends with them, so they're not a good person. In that period, I just never understood these kind of things, like how it is okay. I didn't understand about many things, like what is wrong and what is right. I just feel like growing in that culture and society just felt like so tight and so like repressive. It was like I don't know what is the right thing, but I'm being judged for doing anything and everything, judged for being my hair the way my hair were, judged for being my posture, judged for being not having the right skin tone, judged for being dressing a certain way in school or outside, judged for being talking to boys, judged for being mm, not being intelligent enough. So I felt like I don't know the right way, but nobody is guiding me into the right way, but I'm just being punched from each side for not being this and not being that. That's how I see my upbringing as. Although my favorite part of my growing up was going to church. I was like 10, 11 years old when I got into like the youth team. The best part about that was I was able to decorate the church during Christmas and Easter times. Also, like when there is these altars in front of Mother Mary statue and like the main altar. I was so good at decorating and mixing and matching cloths, colorful pins, and all these decorative flowers. That was such a fun part. I didn't even know this, but now that I reflect back, after seeing how beautifully I executed things, the nuns at that time like gave me a chance to not like directly, but just indirectly like giving me that gentle push, like just asking me like, oh, where should we put this, should we put that. I remember most of the members of that youth group were all like elders to me. We would just all get together and I would just put things like, okay, this will go here and this will go there and this many balloon, this will should go like between here. So that was really fun part, like because it was all creative and it was most joyous period of my life growing up. Besides that, I enjoyed making clothes for myself. I enjoyed going to the market, picking clothes, picking this buttons, picking that lace, and just going to the tailor and telling them, can you please stitch my pants like this, my suit like this? And I was enjoying all that while growing up. That's where I was figuring out life at. Like, that's where I was like, oh, this is the fun part of life. Then, when I was like 16ish, I finished my high school and it was time for further studies. My mother really wanted me to be a lawyer. She got me registered in a law school, and I remember my internal voice was like, Geet, if you live in India, you're gonna have to be caged in a box. You're gonna have to be a good girl. You're gonna have to be pleasing everybody and meet everybody's expectations at all times. You're gonna have to be go by the rules. All the eyes are gonna be on you at all times. I just felt like my potential was gonna be suppressed. And my internal voice said, you need to make an effort, your best effort to leave this country. I don't know how you're gonna do it, figure it out. And I was like, okay. I told my mother, Mom, I don't wanna be a lawyer. I wanna leave India. I don't wanna be here. And I was like, do anything, do everything, and send me out. And if you don't, I might run away from home. I think I said that. Yeah, I think I said that. I don't remember my exact words. Maybe my mother does. But I think I said something like that. That sounds like me. And somehow I convinced my mom. Then my mom started doing the research. She started going around seeing the agents. Because in India, there is like agents who get you admissions in the college somewhere outside and get you out the country or straight to work. So in her research, she found out a program which was in a college in Malaysia, and it was hospitality in cruise management. And I was like, that's perfect. Also, this internal voice that told me, like, do everything you can to get out of India had also told me that you're going to have a traveling job. When this came through, I was like, this is perfect. This is perfectly aligned. And I'm getting to leave the country. What else I need? My mom helped me financially and gather all the documentations and provide to the agent. It took about less than a year process to get everything done. And boom, before I turned 18, I was in Malaysia. And first time in my life, I felt so free. I was like breathing. I was like, nobody is looking at me. Nobody is judging me here for the way I'm walking, the way I'm talking, the way I look, the way I'm dressed up. Nobody cares if I'm intelligent or not. Nobody cares. Like, finally, nobody is looking at me. And I felt so free. I think that was one of the most magical days of my life. Every day is a magical day in my life, but that freedom I felt, that kind of freedom, I was like, the day I got to Malaysia, though, it was a Saturday. And the immigration told me, like, somebody from the college has to come pick you up. And I was like, okay. And then they informed me, you're going to have to wait until Monday because today is Saturday and the college is closed and you're going to wait at the airport. And I was like, all right. So I waited 2 days at the airport, just laying around, grabbing cup of coffee. And I was finally at the college by Monday evening. Everything went very well in the college. I had booked a hotel next to the college for like 5 days. That means I had 5 days to find an accommodation for myself, and I had in my head I had 5 days. I was thinking I need to find an accommodation and a job to be able to keep paying my bills, rent, and my upcoming college fee. Although in 5 days I did get an accommodation, my aunt had some connections and their friends of friends were in Malaysia. She helped me to connect with them. They couldn't come directly, they sent somebody else to get me. I ended up in a very nice couple's house. They had a room, but this was an empty room. They told me that I can live there temporarily until I find a real accommodation. I was like, okay. So like for about a week, I was sleeping on the floor, no sheets, no mattress, no nothing. Anyway, I was just so happy with the freedom I had just received. I did not care about any of that. I was like, I'm free. And I was just embracing that feeling. In that 1 week time, I was searching for a place to live. And I found a place to live. Then, as soon as I found my place to live, I was like, now on to finding a job. My class was twice per week. For rest of the days, I would just go out walking around in the city, store to store, restaurants to restaurants. Any business I would see, I would just walk in and ask for a job. I was like, I'm looking for work. Is there something I can get? Like a couple weeks more passed. The house I was living in, they had like a very cute little angelic girl, and she and I were playing one evening in their front yard. And while we were playing, I saw there was pizza delivery pamphlet hanging out the mailbox. I took it and I was like, hmm, should I call them and ask them if they are hiring? I said, you know what? Let's call and let's check. I called them. I said, hello, sir. I found your number on this pamphlet in our mailbox. Today I'm not looking to order pizza, but I'm looking for a job. Are you hiring by any chance? And they were like, sure, you can come to the store tomorrow and we can talk. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I confirmed the address and everything. And next day I went there. And guess what? The next day I got the job. It was amazing. I was like, that was smooth. They hired me and they said, we are going to train you for the cashier. We are going to train you in the kitchen. We are going to train you for everything in the restaurant. And I was like, sounds good. And it was like my first job. And I was so desperate about getting money and to be able to pay my bills, to be able to stand on my own feet. I was like, let's get started. They trained me like for 3-4 days. And the general manager comes in one day and he says, you have really good English. Would you be interested in working in our call center? And I was like, of course, I would be more than interested. And just in next couple of days, they moved me to their call center, which was a little bit outside of Kuala Lumpur. But the good part is they were providing accommodation. The call center was like 20-30 minutes walking distance from that building. I was like, thank you, God. This is way more than I have expected ever. The job at the call center went so well. I was enjoying my time. I was going to the college twice per week. I was working 5 days. I was having the best time of my life. And when I was going to the college, I was seeing these Carnival Cruise Line posters and I was getting excited. I was like, one day I'm gonna be on Carnival. When I was at work and we had these computer screens to log in orders and stuff like that, the phone I had was like a keypad phone. I didn't have a phone with Google or anything in those days. It was so exciting to have the computer screens because I would go to Google, I would search Carnival Cruise Line, I would just admire their website, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be on this ship one day working. The feeling was so intense. I even cried one day just looking at the website, feeling so like emotional, like, oh my god, one day I'm gonna be working on Carnival Cruise Line. And I remember my colleague were like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I just been checking out this website of Carnival Cruise Lines and today I just feel like crying. I'm feeling emotional looking at it. And she's like, oh, that is so sweet. This means your prayer is being heard. She was an angel to say that. And I was like, yes, I really hope the same, that my prayer is being heard. Anyway, I was working in the call center for like a couple months. Then this general manager comes again and he tells me we opened a new location, like their restaurant location. They had several throughout Malaysia. And he said, we are opening new location. I would like to move you there. And I was like, okay, no worries. He said the accommodation is right above the restaurant. You're gonna be taking care of the whole place, wherever is required, the kitchen, the front. And I was like, sounds good. They moved me there. It was even further away from my college, and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm grateful that I have a job, and I'm grateful I have an accommodation, and I'm grateful that I'm able to send money home. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go with the flow. Over there, though, now that I look back, they kind of took advantage of me because I was cooking, I was cleaning kitchen and front, I was serving, I was being the cashier, I was cleaning toilet, I was doing everything in and out all by myself. They had me to do everything and they had a manager. If it gets busy, the manager would help me in the front. They were busy doing delivery, so they had like 3 delivery drivers. I was like 18 something and I was running the whole show already by myself. One day, one of the delivery drivers, my colleague, came to me and he said, Geet, you work so hard. There's a place in Kuala Lumpur, they're hiring. If you go to that place and you perform the way you perform here, they're gonna pay you double than this. And he said, the way you work, you absolutely deserve to be in a better place. And I was like, really? Wow, okay. He gave me address of the place. Next week when I head off, I was like, let's go check it out. I went to that place in Kuala Lumpur. It was like around 3-4 p.m. in the afternoon. The place was already bustling. There were people everywhere. There was energetic music. It smelled delicious. It was just amazing, lively place. I walk in, I go up to the cash register and I said, I'm looking for a job and I heard you're hiring. Can I speak to the manager? Just in that second, this very tall machista kind of guy comes walking by the register and he snatches my resume and he says, "We are not hiring." I was looking at him, and in the same moment, the owner of the restaurant showed up. Like where the cash register were, there were like curtains, and behind the curtains was owner's office. I guess he heard me saying that I'm looking for a job. He said, "Hi, can I help you?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm looking for a job, and I heard you're hiring." He said, "Go find a table outside, and I'll be with you in a minute." And I said, "Thank you." I got my resume back. I went outside. I got a table. I waited for him. Just in another minute or two, he came and he asked me questions. He basically interviewed me and he said, "You can join next week." And I was like, "Oh my God." I told him, "Sir, right now where I'm working, they provided me accommodation. So I don't know in a week if I'll be able to find an accommodation." And he said, "Don't worry, we have staff house. I can give you a room." And I was like, mind blown. I was like, hell yeah, I love this. The next week, I packed my bags. I moved in the best part of the Kuala Lumpur with an amazing job and an amazing accommodation. What else do you want as an 18 years old? That was a dream come true. Never thought that would happen in my life. Over there, I had the best experience of my life learning about business, learning about how to interact, learning about how the back end of the restaurant goes, learning about food. A major learning happened in that place. That place will be always one of the special places I have ever worked at in my life. They hired me as a cashier and they helped and trained me in polishing my speech. They helped me like to open up my voice. They like really guided me in that process, how to show up my best self back in those days. As I was like into the second month of my job there, their executive assistant had a family emergency. She just quit one day and she left. So because they were in the process of opening multiple locations, they really needed somebody to be filling up that position. They started interviewing people left, right, and center. And it was like 1 week, 2 weeks. I don't know if it was like the third week already or not, but they were like interviewing constantly. One day, the owner comes up to me and says, they used to call me Angie. And they said, "Angie, if we train you to do the executive assistant stuff, would you be interested like a temporary position?" Like they were very clear, like this is going to be temporary and until we find somebody who fits in that role. And I was like, it would be an honor to learn. I was so excited. I was like, I'm 18 and I'm already getting this opportunity to learn like the back end of the restaurant and the office stuff. That was absolutely thrilling. And very next day, they started training me. They started showing me how the central kitchen works. They started showing me how to keep up with all the documentations of the payrolls, documentation of all the receipts of everything they purchased for the restaurant, and so many other back end aspects like dealing with the vendors, how to get around things, how to communicate with the back end of the house. There were so many things I learned working in that position. That was like the most exciting part of being in Malaysia. And the place was beautiful, the place was famous, the place was bustling with good food, good energy, good people all the time. I enjoyed that experience thoroughly, thoroughly. It was so fun. Anyway, when I was interviewing for this job, the owner had asked me what were my future aspirations. And I told him that I was doing hospitality in cruise management. One day I will be moving out of here and working on the cruise ships. And he was aware of that. I was about 1 year away from finishing my course. And in that process, I thought, you know what? It's time. I go to my agent in the college and I ask them, what is the procedure for getting on the ship? I go there. I say hello to the gentleman who was my agent. And I say, "Sir, I would like to start my process to get on the cruise ship. So how does it work?" He looked at me and he said, "Oh, they're not accepting international students from Malaysia anymore. You're gonna have to go back to India and apply from there." And I was like, okay. Inside me, I felt like this is the whole reason I came here. My internal voice said I was supposed to have a traveling job. In my head, I was like, how can I just go back, apply from India? I was like, I have no time, I have no patience to go to India and carry out this process from there. After this thought process, I was like, okay, what can I do to make it happen from here? At that point, I was like, there is no way I'm going back to India. It's not even an option. I'm gonna figure out how to do it from here. I went on the Google, I did my research, I found 5 agencies that help people for placements on cruise ships. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna prepare my resume and I'm gonna go directly and speak with them. I went to the agency one at a time, and all of them told me, oh, cruise ships are not accepting international students. You're gonna have to go back to get a cruise ship job from your country. And I was like, okay. The day I was in the last agency, I was talking to the person in the front desk and she was telling me the same thing. And I was like, okay. I took my documents, I turned around, I started to walk out the door, and I hear a voice from behind me. Excuse me, miss. And I turned around and I was like, hi. And the gentleman and I, we said hello to each other and we kind of recognized each other. He instantly asked me, are you from this college? We had never like spoken, but we had seen each other in the college. And I was like, yes, I'm from that college. And he said, can I help you with something? And I said, I would like to get a cruise ship job, and everybody's telling me that I have to go back to India to get a cruise job. And he was like, yeah, that's a bummer, and that's right. And I was like, ah. He was like, anyway, because I know you, give me your documentation. If any interviews come up, I will let you know. Just when you go there, you're from here. I was like, sounds good, that works for me. I felt so excited just that somebody had taken my documents. At least there was a little ray of hope there, which was very exciting instead of a full dark cloudy sky. After that, I returned home and I was discussing with my friend the whole situation, and I was just saying that I just have this intense urge that I'm gonna be on Carnival Cruise Lines. And he kind of got upset with me. He started showing me all these websites of other cruise lines, and he said I should apply there. And I was like, yes, I'm open to going to any of these, but it's just my internal voice says that I'm gonna be on Carnival Cruise Line. And he was like, do you think Carnival Cruise Lines is gonna come here and say, Miss Gitanjali Peter, come work with us on Carnival Cruise Lines? And I was like, yes. He went nuts. He was like, you are crazy. You can't be thinking like that. You're limiting your options. And I said, that's just what my internal voice tells me. I'm just expressing myself. That was a funny incident though, because it was 2 weeks from that moment, I did receive an email from the gentleman who had taken my documents saying that there is an upcoming interview for Carnival Cruise Lines in this hotel at this time, and I have to bring these documents and I have to be dressed like this, and there were all the details. I was like, yet again, my internal voice was right. I've been so attached to my internal voice. I prepared myself for the interview. I got a nice suit. Even the day of the interview, I got my hair done from the salon early morning. I went in for the interview. There were like about 200 something people. It was very exciting to see that because I had never seen something like that before. I go in for the interview. There was this very nice gentleman. He shook my hand and he asked me, are you from India? I was like, yes, I am from India. He said, which part? I said, I'm from Punjab. He said, I love New Delhi and I love Jaipur. I love Mumbai. My wife and I go to India all the time. And I was like, how lovely. I said, your wife must love the jewelry, the clothes, and all the colorful markets we have in India. He said, don't get me started, all the things she buys from there. And he said, I love the food too. And I was like, are you into spicy food? Are you into like not really spicy food? He said he loves it all. And we just went on for like few minutes talking about India, his experiences in India. And he asked me about my restaurant experience, what I had done so far. At the end, when I got up, he said, it was so lovely meeting you. I was like, it was wonderful meeting you too. I gave my hand to say goodbye to him and he said, see you on board. And I was like, what? It was like an instant confirmation right there that I was gonna be on board on Carnival Cruise Lines. That was another dream come true moment of my life. When I told my friend this, that the gentleman said, see you on board, he was a bit shocked and he was like, okay, girl. Soon after the interview, they sent me to fulfill all the other documentation, get my Siemens training done, and all that stuff. A few months later, I was on Carnival Cruise Line, traveling the world, seeing beautiful islands, enjoying with all these diverse people, partying, working hard. A work day on the cruise ship, by the way, looks like minimum 12 hours. The day you are off, you work 12 hours. Otherwise, you work 14 or 16 hours every day on a cruise ship. Can be any cruise ship, especially if you're in hospitality. Anyway, it was exciting for me because I was in my early 20s, full of energy, full of thrill. I wished for freedom, but the level of freedom that I was getting to experience, to be able to see all these beautiful places and meet all these different peoples from different cultures, that was so exciting. And I was getting to learn new things on the ship. The overall experience was just so thrilling. I loved being on ocean. I enjoyed night shifts the most because everything was quieter. In the middle of the shift, when I took my breaks, I would just go out on the deck and moon gaze, stargaze in the middle of the ocean. It was just such a romantic time with myself. It felt like a movie. It was so beautiful. Parallel to that, one of the challenges that I faced on cruise ship was I was working in the dining room. They didn't have enough silverware, enough jugs, enough napkins for each station. And the system was like you go 30 minutes break time that you had and you steal things from each other's stations and you fill up your station. And I did it for a week or so because everybody told me like this is how it works. You have to go, you have to hide your stuff, you have to hide the silverware for your station, you have to hide the jugs, you have to hide the napkins. And I followed it for some time, like a week. And then it was so frustrating because I was like, I'm a worker here. They should be providing me everything enough in order to fulfill the station. Like, they should be giving me enough silverware, they should be providing me enough jugs and enough napkins and enough of everything. Why do I need to come in my 30 minutes break that I have out of 12 to 16-hour shift to hide and steal things from each other's station? It was annoying. And one day I went to the maitre d' and I said, Sir, I don't have enough things in my station. Can I please get? He took me and he went around and he got me things from everybody. And everybody started hating me. Not literally everybody, but most of the people started hating me because I did that. But in my head, I'm like, pardon me, but why are you being stupid? This is work. Why do we need to steal from each other's station? That just didn't seem right to me. And why are you getting mad at me if I'm just being logical here? Anyways, that happened, and then some like major staff meetings happened where people from office above had come to the meeting and they were asking us to address the issues. I was not aware that I wasn't supposed to speak up about this, but I raised my hand in that meeting and I explained the situation. I said, we don't have enough stuff. Can we please have enough stuff? In the meeting, they said it will be taken care of. But to my surprise, after that, I was blacklisted in management's eye for saying that. Now, look, I think that's a toxic work environment. I think if they believe that the staff should go and steal, it's just creating negative environment because now these people are looking at me like I'm a bad person for speaking up. Now the management is looking at me like I'm the bad person, whereas I'm just requesting a solution which should be like obvious. Anyway, in my second contract, I was trying to switch my department from dining room to HR. I wanted to do the admin stuff again and I just wanted to learn the back end of the admin department. And because I had said something about this system we had in dining room and I was blacklisted in maitre d's eyes, they did not approve my request to change the department. That felt disheartening. I felt unappreciated for my work. Let me quote it this way. I just felt like I was wrong in wrong people's eyes. And that made me think, I was like, okay, this didn't happen. It's okay. What's next? What are we doing next? Are we staying here in this position or are we going to figure out something else? This has been like always my philosophy. If you're not happy in the position you are in, you gotta keep it moving. You gotta change. You gotta switch and be in a position where you're gonna be happy. I don't enjoy when I'm in a space, in a position, can be work, can be personal life, can be anything. I don't enjoy when I have to complain and I have to overthink something, that means I'm uncomfortable. And I do not enjoy my life being uncomfortable. I rather choose to enjoy being out of that position and being somewhere I'm genuinely gonna be comfortable, happy, and enjoy what I'm doing. When that transition of department change didn't happen, I asked myself, what's next? The answer didn't come right away though. I decided to go on vacation in New York City. And I had like given a break to that thought about what's next. I was like, while I'm figuring that out, I need to keep enjoying my life and keep exploring new places, you know? So I took a vacation and I came to New York. I was planning to live in New York City 2 months and then go back to the ships. However, 1 month into my vacation, and an opportunity represented itself to me to live and work in New York. I analyzed what and how will be going back to the ships and what and how will be if I live in New York City. Also, as a teenager, I had dreamt of living in New York City. So I was seeing that my dream of living in New York City is coming true. And I didn't want to go back to that toxic work environment. It was easy for me to accept New York City opportunity. It was just looking and feeling brighter. The moment I decided to live in New York City, I was like, the canvas is blank and white. What am I gonna fill it with? It felt another thrilling chapter of my life. It felt rejuvenating. It felt fresh. It felt new. I was capable of doing anything I want to. I was feeling on top of the world. So, first thing first, I finished my 2 month vacation, which I had planned, and then I started working. And I was renting room in Queens, then Bronx, and I was just focused on work, collecting money, sending money back home for the family. As the few months passed, I was feeling like a good rhythm. I was like, okay, I'm adjusting to the environment, I'm understanding the city, I'm understanding my job, I'm doing well at my job, I'm learning. I was feeling settled in like few months into it. As soon I felt the stability, my next question to myself was, girl, are you going to work in the restaurants for the rest of your life? Or are you going to do something of your own ever? And my answer to myself was, of course I'm gonna do something of my own. I can't be working in the hospitality industry for the rest of my life. Imagine being 35, 40, 45 and still a server, a hostess in the kitchen, or being the restaurant manager. I was like, I just felt like I needed to be something else and something more when I will be 30, 35, 45. That thought had me questioning more like, okay, so what are you doing? What's next? Now that you're stable in New York City, you have solid grounds set for yourself. What would be your next venture? I said, based on my experience, I know how to run a restaurant. I know how to cook amazing food. I should be opening a restaurant. I was like, okay. It's like me having conversation with myself. So let's research how much money I will need to open a restaurant. I did my research. The numbers were off the chart, and I thought this is going to take a long time to collect this kind of money. That got me thinking, so what would be before restaurant that could be more affordable? And my head went, what about a food truck, like a Punjabi style, colorful, flashy food truck? Like, that sounds amazing. I researched about how to have a food truck in New York City, and I needed license and I needed some money, and I was like, okay, this is doable, better than a restaurant. So I was like, while I'm in the process of collecting money to open a food truck, and while I'm in the process of getting a license for the food truck, what can I do now that can be in my budget? And anyway, and I can get started on, and that can lead me to opening a food truck and eventually a restaurant. And my internal voice said, how about hosting dining experiences at your home? And I was like, very interesting. I did my research on Google again. I found out app called Eat With. I found out Airbnb experiences where I saw other people's listings about dining experiences. I was like, amazing, this already exists. It's working for people. I'm sure it's going to work out for me. And then I made that decision, okay, this will be my next venture. So that's how I started filling up my blank canvas. A job first, getting stable, and then I decided my next venture would be dining experiences. And I'll be serving Indian food. In those days, I haven't seen any Indian cooking experience, so I was like, this will be different. When I made a decision of hosting dining experiences, that's when I thought now is the right time to get my own apartment. And I started doing my research. After going through like 20, 30 apartments, I finally found the apartment of my dreams with beautiful, big head to toe windows, and there were windows everywhere in the apartment. I love a nice airy apartment. That was like on my vision. I would love an open apartment with huge windows and a lot of windows. After going through like 30 apartments around New York City, I found it in Brooklyn. As soon as I saw it, I logged in. Following month, moved right in. As soon I moved in, besides huge windows in my vision, I wanted enough space in the living room to be able to host about 10 to 12 people. Like, I wanted a large table. And as soon I saw this apartment, it had everything. It had windows everywhere, it had huge windows, it had an open kitchen, it had space for a table of 12. Subway station was close by. So it was checking all my boxes, and I logged in the deal. As soon I logged in a deal, I was speaking to a friend. I was like, I have lived with roommates in Malaysia. I have had roommates on the ship. I have had roommates by living in Queens and Bronx. And something I don't enjoy is when people don't clean after the kitchen or the restroom. And this time, I don't want a roommate because I don't want to have this vibe of having rules of, oh, clean this, clean that. I would like an easy flow, co-living kind of situation. This friend said, you are anyway going to host Airbnb experiences, so why don't you rent your room on Airbnb short-term rentals? I was like, thank you, that's a genius idea. I'm gonna do that. As soon I moved into the apartment, I ordered all the basics: bed, side tables, mirrors, basic toiletries, towels, sheets, basic kitchen stuff. I wanted to get the Airbnb rentals rolling. I was excited to meet people from all around the world. I was excited about getting my rent paid. I was excited about the whole new situation, whole new chapter in my life. The opening went super successful. As soon I felt settled into the opening of my Airbnb, then I felt like, okay, now I can start working on the Airbnb dining experiences. That journey started unfolding by me thinking about what kind of food it's gonna be, how is the wine glasses gonna look, what is the vibe of the table, what is the vibe of my living room, what colors am I picking. Bringing those experiences together was more than just like cooking and serving the food. For me, it was, I wanted to create an atmosphere. I wanted to show my personality, and designing this experience was giving me a chance to discover my personality, because this was the first time I had apartment to myself. It was my first home where I was free to decorate it the way I love it, and I saw this as an opportunity where I'm able to see like what do I like. So I put all my heart, mind, soul, and money into designing it. Seriously. I didn't feel shy about, oh, this is out of my budget. If I had an eye on something, for example, I had an eye on anthropology chairs, and they were like 500 each. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna collect that money and I'm gonna get those because I wanna experience them, and I would love my guests to experience that. If that's what how much my taste costs, I'm gonna go for it because I didn't want to feel in a box. I wanted to feel like open, and I wanted to feel I'm capable of getting these chairs or I'm capable of getting these glasses instead of like thinking like, oh, this is too expensive and oh, maybe I'll afford it in future. I just wanted to give myself this experience like, yes, if I love this, I'm capable of having this. It was a really fun experience getting to explore what I love in interior design, and it gave me an opportunity to create my style. At the same time, I was investing, creating a business, and at the same time, I was building confidence to be able to welcome people into my home, to be able to host in New York City. Overall, it was, I keep saying this about every experience, but it was a really thrilling experience. I gave my all sincere energy to it. And it's another amazing memory of my life that also shaped my personality. This experience was really, really important in my life. The process of bringing together the dining experiences itself developed my personality and gave me a chance to recognize my style. At the end, I had these beautiful experiences designed, which in my perspective was successful for what they were. I met so many amazing people. My best friend I met through Airbnb experiences. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me with her in almost every other post. And I met so many amazing people, and I have friends. I have made lifetime of friends through hosting these dining experiences. I was also working a full-time job at the same time, and I was hosting short-term rentals as well. I would like to highlight a little bit how was that going. So I was working like 5 nights a week in a bistro in West Village. I was hosting Airbnb short-term rentals. So because my work started in the evening around 4 p.m., I had this morning window to be able to clean and reset the apartment for the upcoming guests. So that was happening 2 to 3 times a week based on how often guests checked in and checked out. And on my 2 days off, I was spending one of my days of cooking and hosting, and one of the days to clean all from last night and then rest in the evening. When I was collecting the stuff for the apartment, for the experiences, I was finding time the days I wasn't cleaning. So before going to work, those days I would go out for shopping. So this whole experience was so creative and so fun. Now that I look at it, I see like I was just having fun. It ended up becoming something so precious. The whole execution process was so rewarding because I met so many wholesome people through Airbnb short-term rentals and through experiences that are truly my like soul tribe, I would say, for the rest of my life. I think they know who they are. Once my job, the experiences, the short-term rentals, at some point I felt like, you know what, I was juggling it smooth. And that's when I felt what's next. Because I just felt like I can add another ball in this juggling of balls. In 2021, I hear a news that one of the apartments in the building is becoming available. I spoke to my business partner and he decided to take it. That gave me an opportunity to co-create another boutique apartment with him. I wanted to learn something new in that process. And also we were planning to design this space in the most affordable way possible. On our research, we figured out that we should do murals. And I got so excited about learning to paint murals. I just felt expansion in my creativity. I was like, hell yeah, this is life happening. The canvas I imagined when I came to New York City, and I imagined this canvas that I would like to fill up with beautiful things. I felt like yes, it's expanding. You know, my creativity is expanding. I'm expanding. I'm learning new things. I'm not the same Geet who was the first year when she landed in New York. She's somebody different than even second year, even the third year. I also noticed that it was just getting more and more exciting about growing on yearly basis. I think that's when I like kind of realized it and I made a choice. You know what? I would like to be growing every single year in some way or the other, in creativity, in life, personal growth, or all of them. Circling back to my partner and I discussing how can we decorate this apartment in the most affordable and beautiful way possible. I did my Pinterest research. I asked myself questions like what instantly would make a place look beautiful. My first answer was plants. On my research of ideas of affordable designing, I found out about murals. Because I chose plants in the first place, I thought like, you know what, adding flowers, nature art would be complementary, and this way we don't need to have so many plants, but at the same time we can be between plants and beautiful floral murals or nature murals. The ideas were finalized, and then as soon we got the keys of the apartment, luckily some of my friends were staying with me in that season. So we all got together and we had one full week full of fun, like painting murals, having pizza, drinking beers, and just enjoying life. I have videos and photos from that period. Everybody was having fun. We were like about 10 people, and some of them would go in and out someday, and the others would show up. Some days we would be all together. It was such a wholesome experience of painting beautiful art in an apartment in Brooklyn. It was a week process of painting everything. Then in the second week, we were able to fully equip the apartment with all the furnitures, tools, gadgets. We named it Brooklyn Cosmic Garden because we installed this cosmic lights. We wanted to make it special, we wanted to make it an experience, not just another listing. We designed from a perspective like how would we enjoy our staycation in what kind of apartment. And in the design process, we really felt that and we executed in that way, and we just wanted to share it with all our guests. And it was instantly a success. Even one day, I was just Googling Brooklyn Cosmic Garden just to see like if the Airbnb listing shows up. Not only I found the Airbnb listing of Brooklyn Cosmic Garden, but the second article was 7 coolest Airbnbs in Brooklyn by Trips to Discover. That was really, really, really rewarding to see that. We were like, wow, our apartment was in an article and we didn't even know it. That was another mystical moment to live for. We felt like, wow, we did something really good that we got to be in that article. After feeling inspired and motivated by that, I thought like, you know what, I would like to learn another technique of art. Maybe I should paint the walls of my own apartment too. I had no idea still what was it, but I let my imagination run. One day I was laying on my bed with these beautiful large windows in that room. It was a sunny day, birds flying by, clouds floating by, me scrolling on the bed. I saw this video of a lady doing stencil work. She was doing a stencil work full of a wall full of leaves, and it looked so gorgeous. I asked my business partner. He is actually an industrial designer, so he knows to build everything and he knows he can do anything and everything. He can build anything and everything. On our journey of co-creating Brooklyn Cosmic Garden, I understood that I have a friend who is also my teacher, and it's so amazing that I can ask him any questions and he will always tell me how to build that. So that day I saw this stencil video and I sent him the video and I said, do you know what is this technique called? And he said, yeah, it's stencils. And he explained me how to stencil. He sent me some YouTube videos to check out how the stenciling is done. I was so inspired. I went on Amazon and I was like, let's see what kind of stencils does Amazon sell. Amazon had these Indian dancers and Amazon had these beautiful Indian stencils as well. That made me think I should do some Indian art in my apartment. Right in that moment, I shortlisted all my favorite stencils. I ordered them. I was like, it's time to go Home Depot and pick up some paints. In the same week, I ended up painting the whole beautiful wall. After that, my creative energy wanted to expand more. It wanted to go throughout the apartment. I was just floating in that process so naturally because I had paints, I had a bunch of stencils, and one wall at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. I think it took me like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know exactly, but it wasn't like 1 month to another. It was a process of like 2, 3 months, I think. The vision of the art of different walls manifested, and I was like, okay, this goes here, this color goes here. And then I started upgrading my apartment with furniture. I named my apartment Chill Palace, and I wanted to execute it like it feels like Chill Palace. For me, my apartments will be always called Chill Palace because I have this feeling that I have connected to that name, Chill Palace. Chill palaces feel artsy, serene, calm, elegant, beautiful, still have this youthful vibe. That's Chill Palace to me. And I took my time to create that vibe over there. Everybody who has stayed at Chill Palace, you know how cosmic it feels with the cosmic lights at night and how serene it feels during the day. By the way, I don't mind telling you that Brooklyn Cosmic Garden was making $100,000 per year and Chill Palace was making $120,000 per year. The business was booming. The money was raining, abundance was flowing. I was meeting the best people I've ever met in my life, and I was having the best time of my life, connecting with my guests and taking care of the place and living in that place. Even there was experiences where I was having such a good time with guests, like I would invite them for dinner, I would just make breakfast for them, and it felt so genuine. It felt so warm. There was like genuine love, genuine respect, genuine curiosity to know each other. It was a heartfelt experience both ways. When I finished creating Chill Palace, my heart said, let's expand a little bit more. Then, in the same year, my partner and I heard that another apartment was opening up in the building, and we decided to take that over, open Chill Palace as 2 bedroom, 2 bathrooms instead of half apartment. We moved into the third apartment of the same building. We created another Chill Palace over there, which was more like royal and disco and culturally inspired and antique kind of vibes all together. That was also a very fun creation. I felt like finally this is the apartment which I'm creating just for myself. I wanted to explore more about my style, so I went with those vibes this time. Even though I had moved into the third apartment, I was hosting dining experiences for the guests staying in our other 2 apartments, and sometimes they would also order, like just pick up from me. That felt nice being in rhythm to be able to engage with guests even though I wasn't living next to them. Something interesting happened in 2023. New York City passed a law that no more short-term rentals in New York City, and to be able to host monthly rentals, you need to either own the apartment or you need to submit a letter from your landlord. And something very interesting happened in the same month that this law was passed. The building was taken over by new owners. This whole transition happened in the same month. I tried to make a deal with the new landlords and they didn't agree. Also, from the business perspective, I analyzed if it will be beneficial to host long term rentals. It only made sense that I give away the apartments. That made it easy to let go the apartments. Anyway, the new landlords were not ready to come to the terms of letting me have them. That happened in 2023, right? In 2021, I was already imagining one day I would love to create boutique hotels around the world. I don't know where, I don't know how. I was thinking like in future I would love to expand. And in 2021, 2022, I was building the concept in my head. I was imagining like how would these places feel like. Also, I was imagining like, you know what? I feel like I'm so good at interior. I feel like I have a really good eye for art and I love my colors. I was imagining my future self having boutique apartments and having a brand with clothes and interior goods. That had been all building up in my mind even when I was like successful at what I was doing. In 2023, when the Airbnb shut down, that made me think like, okay, what's next? Is it gonna be just job working at restaurants or are you going to venture into something new? Are you going to learn something new? My next question automatically to myself was, what are we painting next on the canvas? My mind went, let's start building the idea of the product line. That made me do my research of where to start a clothing brand and a product line. Out of everything I saw on the internet, I found print on demand very efficient to start with, talking like capital wise, talking about the process of learning, talking about my capacity, what I could execute in that moment. Also, I saw that this is going to be another process, like same as there was a process creating the experiences. So this is going to be a new process of learning to create a product line. And I felt very thrilled. I felt super thrilled. I'm going to learn something new and different and artsy Like I was excited, like I was like, yes, more art, more forms of art I'm going to get to learn. My business partner also lost his listing due to the same reasons as me. I started communicating my ideas with him, like, this is my vision, this is kind of where I would like to go, and this is where I would like to start. He started to teach me how to create art with AI. He started to teach me how to put my prints on the products. He helped me to build the website. He helped me to create the art. So we started co-creating that concept together of how that product line would be. I really wanted to make this product line something very meaningful. I did not know what was that until like I started working on the idea hands on, because that made me think more. That made me think like, what message am I delivering through my product? I just felt like adding meaning to my art. I just wanted to add more value in my products by adding meaningful art to it. I felt like it has to do something for me. If it uplifts me, it will uplift somebody else. So I was very focused on the idea of to come up with a concept that would uplift me. Very interestingly, taking care of my well being was very uplifting for me. I remember in 2021, my wellness journey started, and that is because I was feeling so inflated in my body. I was feeling restless internally. I was having breathing problems. Every time I ate, I just felt like my nerves are gonna break out. My chest was getting heavy. I was going like this every time I ate. One night after dinner, I was breathing so hard, and like, so my heartbeat was so slow and my chest was so heavy. I literally felt my soul left my body. I was like, universe, if I get another chance at life, I will make sure that I take care of my well-being. And universe that day let me come back to earth, literally. From that moment, taking care of my well-being was keeping me uplifted, which started in 2021. So it was already like 2021, 2022, 2023. It was like already 2 years I was keeping myself up, taking care of my well-being. And that made me think like, okay, taking care of my well-being uplifts me. So my product line should uplift people and encourage them to take care of themselves. That's where the idea clicked. Like, my product line would uplift people in some way about their personal growth and about their own evolution and about their own evolving journey. Based on the products we saw on Printful and Printify, that gave me an idea like what kind of art I will need to create. There were journals, there were mugs, there were sweatshirts from November 2023 till February 2024. It took us like 4 months to develop the concept, to develop the art, to figure out what is our intention behind this, what are we selling, what is our mission. It took like 4 months of waking up every single day and constantly giving our time, soul, and energy into thinking, creating, and building this. In March 2024, we were thinking, okay, now we have good enough on our table to start with talking about products, concept. We actually created a chapter. We were like, okay, we will do collections. We'll do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 of different styles and levels of evolution based on my evolving journey. We wanted to do the pop-up with the first chapter around March, April of 2024, and we figured out that we didn't have enough funds to execute that plan. That made my creative partner kind of detach from the project and keep going with his own journey. Whereas on my side, I was on my spiritual journey as well. I would say from 2023. In January 2024, it got really, really serious. I would love to share a little bit about my spiritual journey. From 2021 to 2024, I figured out that I was on my creative journey. I was fully tapping into my creativity. I was in my wellness journey. I was taking care of myself inside out. And I was on my spiritual journey. My creative journey was fire. Like, I was vibrating on my creative journey like this. My wellness journey, I was going like this rhythm. And my spiritual journey in 2021 was like this. So my creative journey from 2021 to 2024 has been like super radioactive. My wellness journey has gone from this to this now, and my spiritual journey went like this in 2024. I'm making like hand graphs. I've been vibrating on these three timelines at the same time. I think my spiritual journey really began the day my soul left my body. It was a slow beginning of learning my spiritual side, and it caught up in 2023. It speed up, and in 2024 it like really clicked in so many ways that I would love to elaborate on in another video. Being on this timeline of creativity, spirituality, and well-being brought my whole vision together, like gave me a breakthrough. Like, you know what? You were imagining to have boutique hotels since 2021, and then you wanted to give it a meaning. And then in 2023, I was able to give it a meaning, and then in 2024, when my spiritual journey was at peak, I had an internal calling like I should incorporate spirituality into my project. That's how the life has unfolded for me from my childhood until today. It's been very interesting. I just look back at myself, at my life, especially my time in New York City. I feel like I wasn't just doing art, or I wasn't just doing it for the sake of fun, even though I wouldn't mind that, because from my previous perspective, whatever I was doing everything for fun and pure joy. But now I see it was also meaningful. It was also meant to be. My long term journey was being built over all these years. And I learned on this path that dreams don't come true overnight. So we need to be patient with the journey. This is the biggest lesson of my life I have learned looking at my own story, that I should always listen to my mind, heart, and soul, and not let the outer voice get to me. Because if my mind, heart, and soul is telling me do this or do that, I just have this internal knowing that it's leading me somewhere, something, it's gonna connect something somewhere that I don't know about right now. I loved and enjoyed sharing my story with you, how I have grown in life, and how I have walked my path. I hope you enjoyed listening. I don't know what I will be sharing in my next video, but I am sure it will be something interesting. So please subscribe to my channel to keep up with my story, because I'm very sure that soon I will be building those beautiful boutique hotels where I will be executing all these beautiful holistic experiences, where we can all come together and share a genuine connection. I will be posting all about my art, my journey. I loved having you here, and I send you so much love and light. Mwah.